This is Barrels and Barrels, a bourbon and baseball podcast, with your hosts, Brandon Spinner and Michael Burns.
And welcome into another edition of Barrels and Barrels, a bourbon and baseball podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Spinner, alongside one of my good buddies, co-host Michael Burns. Mikey, how you doing tonight, my man?
A little sore. Had our first adult league baseball game on Sunday. I pitched one inning.
One inning? How'd you do?
No hits, and 3 strikeouts.
Any walks?
No walks.
No walks. So 1, 2, 3.
Oh no! I'm sorry. I lied there. One hit.
One hit.
The leadoff hitter hit the first pitch of the game, and then I proceeded to strike out the next 3. The third guy, my catcher, dropped strike 3, so I had to face a 4th batter. Could have had a 4th strikeout inning, but instead I shattered the guy's bat for a ground out to second base.
Atta baby. What were you throwing? 95, 96?
Maybe the inverse of that.
69? Nice. Nice. So welcome into episode 28. You missed us last week. We did have an episode with again, talking with the college kids from the PhillyGodfather.com. But we didn't have a full episode because, Michael, you are on location. Can you tell our friends and listeners and our families where you were at? Somewhere special.
I was on another work trip up to Boston. And I can do a great Boston accent when I'm in that vicinity, but when I'm down back in Alabama, that's all I can do is an Alabama accent. But I got to go up to Boston for work this time, though. I made it to Fenway.
You did. And caught a game.
It was against the Cincinnati Reds.
It seems to be the only team either of us can see play this year.
It was a great game. I took the train into Boston. Mm-hmm. As I got on the train, I realized I didn't have my Barrels and Barrels hat on. I was pissed.
It's a rookie move.
Got onto the subway, and I was going to get there like an hour early. I got on the subway, and the subway went down about halfway to Fenway. It was awful. We sat and didn't move for 20 minutes.
That's terrible.
So I finally got there, got in, got some food and a beer, and then the Reds went up 8-3.
Oh, that was that game.
Yes.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
So it comes the 9th inning. I'm like, bro, it's 8-3. Let's catch the train and subway before the crowd hits. So he's like, all right. He didn't want to leave, but I was like, dude, come on, let's go. So we get on the subway, and we're watching. We're like, oh my gosh, it's 9-5. Oh my gosh, 9-6. And everyone on the subway is like, oh, we left early. But thankfully we left early. Because had we not left early, we would have missed the last train of the night.
Oh,
back to our hotel. So thankfully, the Red Sox didn't come back on the sub. It would have been a fun inning to watch.
Yeah.
But we caught the last train and didn't have to spend $80 on an Uber instead.
What did you think of Fenway? I haven't been.
I've been to Fenway. I went in 2017 and did the Fenway tour. And to sit on top of the monster would be awesome seats.
Awesome, yeah.
They're about, I think, $400.
We're going to have to reach out to our buddy Keith, who lives in Boston, who is also on Instagram at New England Whiskey. Keith, I know you're a listener. Hook us up, man. I don't think you've got any hookups, but hook us up. Monster tickets. Monster. Put on the Monster.
Front row Monster. I want to be able to lean over and have a scare, that fear of heights a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if I could do that. That's a long fall. No, it hasn't happened yet, but at some point, hopefully not. Hopefully.
Well, next time they're playing the Reds, we'll go.
Yes. That's in 2 years. That'll be in 2 years. We'll have to do it. So again, welcome into Barrels and Barrels, a Bourbon and Baseball podcast. This is episode 28. And as we've started the last couple episodes, we'll start with who is the best player to wear 28 in MLB history. I know you normally don't look this up ahead of time, Michael. So did you do some research on this one?
I did not. I can't believe it.
I think there's 3 players, and I think there's really only one that you can discuss as the best because one of them just retired and the other one's still playing, but the guy who deserves it, I think, is a slam dunk in my mind. I'm thinking Burt Levin.
He's got the greatest
Burt
WAR.
by Levin.
Burt by, I don't even know who that guy is.
Oh, he's a pitcher for the Twins. He's the color analyst for the Twins. Burt Blyleven. I think he was a pitcher for the Twins for like 18 years.
That last name is a mouthful. Wait, so in the 70s and 80s, man, he pitched for a long time. 19 years?
A 95.5 WAR, 287 and 250, a 331 ERA, and 3,701 strikeouts. He is from the Netherlands. I didn't know that. Burt was a pitcher for the Twins, the Texas Rangers, the Pirates, the Indians at that point in time, back to the Twins, and then finished his career as a California Angel at the time. Now they're the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. He never won a Cy Young, but he should have in 1973. He had a 2.32 FIP. He had 9 shutouts. Not just complete games. He had 25 complete games. He had 9 complete game shutouts in 1973. The other names on the list for me would be Buster Posey and Nolan Arenado. But
yeah, Nolan Arenado popped out to me.
And Nolan's only been in the league for like 10 years, so he does not get near Blyleven's 18. Now, at the end of his career, that may be a discussion, but I think right now Blyleven is your best 28. What do you think?
Yeah, it's hard to argue that that giant war, 19 years wearing the number. No one else besides one other guy with half the war comes close.
Yeah, and he wore 22 while in Pittsburgh, it looked like, as well as for a year in Cleveland. So a majority of his career is the number 28, 94.5 WAR. So this is going to Burt Blyleven, pitcher who was a right-handed pitcher majority of his career for the Twins, and he's the color analyst for the Twins broadcast. He's really good. He's a really good listen. So if you ever catch a Twins game, him and Dick Bremer, pretty good booth up there.
How old's that guy now?
72.
Pitched in the 70s? Oh, yeah, he's getting up there.
Born in 1951, April 6th. So he just turned 72 about 2 months ago.
Grandpa Burt.
Grandpa Burt. So thank you for joining in. If you made it this far into episode 28, we're 7 minutes in. This is where we start to do a little bit of our promotion. Hey, find us on YouTube. We've been putting out a lot of content on YouTube. Since our last episode, we had 175 subscribers then, Michael. We're up to 221. So nearly 50. Woot woot. And
I remember talking about getting to 100, baby, like 2 months ago.
Right.
Let's go.
Yeah. So if you're watching, hit the subscribe button below. We would love to have you as a subscriber. And for those of you who do subscribe, I always say, I'll give you a shout out. Domo, Austin Dreyer, Joe Arrow, GT Mustang, Brett Drinkar, and Joanna. All those of you who have their profiles public, those are the names that popped up. So thank you to the 46 new subscribers. We're putting out exclusive content out there on YouTube that you can only see there, sometimes on Facebook, but not too often. And speaking of Facebook, we're now up to 459 followers. That's up from 400 a couple of weeks ago. So go follow us on Facebook at Barrels and Barrels Pod. That's where you can also find us on Instagram. And we are on Twitter as well at Barrels and Barrels. Again, the letter N in between all of that for Barrels and Barrels. Also, find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio Podcasts, and please, please, please leave us a rating. We're 15 out of 15, 5 stars on Apple's, and we finally made it to Spotify's list of, we actually get a ranking now. We're at 10 out of 10 5-star approvals. So thank you to all of you. And if you're new, we'd love to get your ranking, your review. Let us know what you think. If you don't like us, if you do like us, tell us what you love. Tell us what you wish we could do better. Tell us what your favorite part of the show was, whatever it is. We'd love to have a review from you, and we'll share it. We'll read it out loud. We've done it before. Joseph Campbell left one that had us laughing our heinies off. Did I just say heinies?
You sure did.
I'm trying to be this PG. I don't want to put the explicit in the title of the show.
We can start bleeping them out.
We could do that. It's just bleep out random words. Yeah. Not even like dirty words. Just bleep out a random word here or there and make people think that we said something nasty.
Like Heine. You should probably bleep out Heine.
Well, now you're the one who's saying Heine, Michael.
So you should bleep it out for both of our sakes.
Okay. Well, bleeping out, we'll have to figure that out. But we're going to figure out what we think about this week's whiskey. We are going with one that's not distributed to too many people. I know it's getting wider and wider when it comes to its availability, but we're going with Journeyman Distillery's Corsets, Whips, and Whiskey. This is from Journeyman Distillery out of Three Oaks, Michigan. Yes. So the reason, the bottle itself, there's a lady in a corset with a whip, kind of sexual. But the reason it gets that name is because the distillery is located in an 1800s corset and buggy whip factory. That's what they turned the distillery, turned that into the distillery. So that is what this is named after. Very high praise out of this. I got this bottle from Amanda, Whiskey and Wander on Instagram, if you want to go check her out. I know she's not listening, but I'm going to tag her in this anyways. She doesn't listen, even though she does support our podcast. She just doesn't listen. But she got this. It's about $59.99 for a MSRP. You can find it ranging from anywhere from $50 to $65 online. Comes in at 117 proof. But Michael, do you know what the mash bill is on this puppy?
What state?
Michigan.
Oh, they're in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be higher rye. I'm gonna guess, just because it's in the north. If they're aging it in the north, it's no rye. Oh boy.
So this is 100% wheat whiskey.
Oh boy.
So this is not a bourbon. This is a whiskey because there's no corn in it, and it's 100%. So it's 000. 100 when it comes to the mash bill. Again, 117 proof. So this is cask strength. And this is batch 57, bottle 1400 that we're trying. Again, 0% rye, 0% corn, 0% barley, 100% wheat. This has won a lot of awards recently. It just won the Ascot Award for the best wheated whiskey. Best in Show Whiskey of the Year in 2022 Ascot Awards, 2022 Best Wheat Whiskey Ascot Awards, as well as 2023 Gold Medal American Distilling Institute. So a lot out there. This was Fred Minnick's number 4 American whiskey. I don't know what year, it doesn't say, but the Ascot Awards are also, I think, Minnick's awards. So very high praise for this. It's, again, 100% organic wheat. It's supposed to be reminiscent of an Irish whiskey. And if you haven't checked out Journeyman Distillery, it's pretty cool. They've got a couple different campuses. I think they just built one where I went to college at Valpo for like a tasting room or something like that. But my mom was the first person who ever let me know about Journeyman. She does a retreat she owns a hair salon, and she takes her staff 1 weekend a year to go do like some team building and go do. You all right?
Yeah, I just also felt like a mini headache there for a second. Did you see it hit me? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You looked like you got punched in the face, but there was no one punching you. So she took her staff there. They have a loft that you can rent, like an Airbnb style, 18 guest house. Like it sleeps 18 people. Pretty cool, but I haven't had their whiskey other than this, which, as you can see, I'm just cracking it open. I sent you the sample. I'm trying this for the first time. So
there we go.
We'll see what it's like. But
I'm excited.
Yeah,
I
pretty
like
cool.
I like wheated bourbon, Maker's Mark and such. So I'm 100% wheat is what you say, huh?
Yes, sir. 100% wheat. So right off the bat, what do you get on the nose?
Right off the nose, you scared me when you said it's reminiscent of an Irish whiskey.
That's right when you felt like you got punched in the face? Yeah,
that's when I sniffed it and was thinking Irish, trying to pull Irish whiskey notes out of it. That scared me. But I don't get that. I guess I'm not. I usually, we sniff it and we smell corn.
Yeah.
So this is
not going to get any of that.
No. So this is. I think I get a little bit of a light caramel on the nose, strong. Trying to decide what that finish smell is. It smells oily.
I've got like an earthy citrus, flowery to me.
I definitely get that citrus.
My nose is a little messed up. I've been dealing with allergies.
I did it again, dude. When I do that right nostril, it hits me on the
right side. You get like a right sinus?
Yeah.
Maybe you got a weed allergy.
I actually, like when we started the podcast, I was scared that I was having like a gluten allergy all of a sudden grow.
Oh boy.
So I was like, can you drink bourbon and have a gluten allergy? Yes, I think you can.
Oh, you can?
All the gluten in the distilling process removes it. So if you are gluten free, you can drink bourbon or whiskey. So I was like, oh, cheers!
It has a distinct like smell to it, but I can't put my finger on what it is.
Right.
Like it reminds me of
It's so
something.
different. It's so different of being all strong wheat. Like I'm staring at the Maker's Mark, expecting it to smell like Maker's,
Mm-hmm.
and it's almost got like a grainy smell.
A little bit.
Like I think I picture a farm crop field when I'm sniffing this thing, which you should for everything. Almost like a tea leaf, maybe. Can you picture that?
It's got, or I don't know, maybe
Like
I wouldn't
like
say tea, but it's
black tea.
earthy to me. Yeah.
Yeah, black tea is is that note I'm getting. I'm gonna go in.
It hits. I mean, it's 117, so it drinks like a 117er, but it's not awful. Like right up, like I don't feel like I got punched.
No, that's pretty good. That was tasty. I can't tell you what the notes are. I was just trying to judge it off the taste, but
I wrote down toffee. Like that was the first thing that popped in my head.
I could see toffee. It's sweet. It's
Mm-hmm.
not overly sweet though, and that's what I like.
Yeah.
It's on the sweeter side. It's not overpowering and not syrupy tasting.
No, I wouldn't say that. It's not too oily either. It's got good viscosity, I think. Like, it coats your mouth. It's not terribly overpowering. Sometimes I get more of it on the tip of the tongue. Sometimes it's more the back of the tongue. This one, it's very well-rounded all around. The volume of it's pretty good.
The oak is good.
Mm-hmm. You can get some oak out of it. Definitely got some of the barrel.
But still, I get a little bit of vanilla, not strong vanilla, but a little bit of vanilla. I don't get that black tea that I smell. It definitely smells and tastes different. Are you getting any citrus on the palate?
A little, but not as much as I got on the nose. The
Right.
nose and the palate seem like a Y, like a fork in the road, right? One is one direction, one's the other, but they come to meet right in the middle. I think it's very well rounded, very delicious.
It is very delicious. I feel after I haven't taken a sip in a while, and I feel like I'm hitting a dead end that it's not changing in my mouth anymore. It's almost hit like that, like it's flattened out all of a sudden
Mm-hmm.
on the tip of my tongue, like dried out. It's what's happened.
A little bit. I would say probably the finish is the one part of it I think that is lacking a little bit. Overall, I think it's very good. I wish there was just a little more to the finish. I do get a little more of a sweetness to it, the second pour and the second sip, but man, that's really good.
Yeah, I would. I'm gonna go right out and say I would rate this an everyday player because I would recommend this bourbon to somebody.
Yes. So Michael goes with an everyday player. If you're new to our podcast, we do a rating scale off of baseball kind of standards. Hall of Fame, top of the class. That is the best of the best. No, we haven't rated one yet.
Haven't
We
done
haven't
one
made it
yet.
there.
We've
been
had
close.
One that was close. Yes.
We have one
One
that
or
was
two
really
that was
close.
really close.
But
Didn't pop that
Hall
chair.
of-
We were scared.
Nah. We were very scared. Hall of Famer, top of the top, all-star, second best, right? Everybody's got an all-star. Those are those bottles that are the ones that you are the most excited to share with others, the most excited to pop open. Sometimes maybe the ones you wait a little too long to open. Everyday player is just like an everyday player in your lineup. He's there every day. It's something that you're not drinking every day, but one of those that's always on your bar, something that you're always going to want there. Then bench player, just like a player in baseball who's a bench player. Doesn't start every day. It's not something you're going to pour every day or every week, maybe every other couple weeks, maybe once a month, but it's something to mix up the lineup, mix up your pours, and then finally designate for assignment, which means you're cut off the team, just like Gary Sanchez. And go
Wait,
find...
did Gary Sanchez get cut from the Padres?
No, but he's been
Okay,
cut like
sorry.
3 times this year, I think. Yeah. So he's Mr. DFA this year.
Yeah.
So Michael goes with an everyday player. Very interesting.
I think what's lacking. Hold on. Before you, what would have made this an all-star is, like you said, the finish. If it would have had a lingering, got some tropical citrus to finish, it would have been there. But it hits, it dries out. But the front is delicious.
I get a little bit more baking spice out of this now, like a cloves kind of taste.
Yeah,
almost maybe a little bit of nutmeg on the back end.
and maybe that's
very
what
good.
Yeah, I agree.
And I am going to
where are
go
you
with
going?
an everyday player as well.
Cheers, sir.
So, cheers, everyday players. There we go. And big shout out to Journeyman Distillery. If you haven't seen a bottle, reach out to Amanda or Derek or anybody in the. I think they distribute into the Chicago area now too. So our Chicago listeners, I would check this out. They've got a ton of whiskey. They've got a wheat whiskey. They've got a bourbon.
I'm pretty sure I saw it at
did see
Benny's.
Okay. I know they've got a brandy. One thing I have tried from them is what my mom got me is an apple cider, which was very good. An alcoholic apple cider, which she brought to me after they had went. And I think she's talking about going back. If not, they've already been back. But they've got a full rye. They've got, it's called Kissin' Cousins whiskey. Three Oak single malt. They've got Silver Cross, which looks like a regular whiskey. Featherbone, which is their bourbon. And Featherbone, I believe, is the name of the place that they bought, which is where the distillery was. Yep, that's their bourbon. They've got Not a King whiskey, Corset Whips and whiskey, and then Buggy Whip wheat, which I think this is the cask strength version of Buggy Whip wheat.
Did this drink like 117 to you?
It hits up front like 117, but I think it mellows out towards the back end. Usually I would find it reverse, right?
Right.
I think it drinks right at 115, 117, not overpowering, but you can tell there's a little bit more of a kick.
You wouldn't recommend this to somebody who drinks Basil Hayden, regularly and is at the 80 proof. Four Roses small batch at 90, 92.
Right.
They'd be like, oh man, it tastes like alcohol.
Probably. This is a good pour. So cheers, Journeyman. Cheers, Michael. We found another everyday player right in our lineup. Again, check out Journeyman Distillery, Three Oaks, Michigan. Really cool stuff. And if you're ever in Three Oaks, go check out their living quarters, because I think you can rent out multiple different like Airbnbs there. Ooh. Can you imagine like having a weekend trip to a distillery and you're staying in the distillery?
That could be troublesome.
Not bad. Yeah, it could be troublesome. Could be very fun though. Very fun and very trouble. Speaking
you can do
of trouble,
both of those in the same time. You can do both of those at the same time.
You could. Yes. Speaking of trouble, Luis Arias has been trouble for pitchers the last couple of months and really last couple of seasons. He's coming into today batting .401, Michael, and he's now a member of the Marlins. Who holds the Marlins single season batting average title? Who has the highest batting average ever in a single season for the Miami Marlins, formerly the Florida Marlins, formerly sell everybody and then
I
rebuild
should
again.
be able to get this because they are not an old team. They're
1997?
94.
Yeah.
I just got to go with the man who started there, Miguel Cabrera.
So Miguel Cabrera is your guess.
Yes, that's correct.
Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
That is incorrect. Hanley Ramirez.
Oh.
Which I totally forgot about.
Yeah.
He was such a stud. He was number one prospect, and he just kind of, after his time in Miami, it just kind of went away. He played with Boston for a while, and I think he won a World Series with the Red Sox, but he hit .342 in 2009, and that wasn't even the best batting average in the league that year. .342.
Oh, the game has changed.
Yeah.
Yep.
So 2009, I know that Ichiro was above him. And was it Miggy? Somebody hit like .360 that year.
Chipper Jones, Howard Pujols. That was the age of high average guys where MVP would hit like 340, 350, 330, 336. I can just picture it.
Yeah, like constantly. Batting average that year was Joe Mauer. .365 led the league. Remember Joe Mauer? Yeah, .365.
He won MVP that year too, I bet.
2009? 2009. It was LeBron James. Joe Mauer won the 2009 MVP, and I think that was also Pujols in the NL.
Pujols.
Pujols. Yeah. Pujols and Joe Mauer. So that has been our trivia question, and that's going to lead us right into our baseball talk. So we just talked about Luis Arias. He's batting .401 going into play today. Very impressive. 85 for 212. So in 212 at-bats, he's got 85 hits already through 55 games. I think it's up to 58 games that he's played in now. Incredible. 401.
Yeah. When do you know the last player that hit 400?
Ted Williams.
They keep talking about. Was it Ted Williams?
He was in a season. It was Ted Williams. Yeah. We hit 406. I think it was in the 70s. I don't know about this late into the season, but wasn't Bellinger hitting close to it going into June in his MVP year in 2019?
Yep, into June, and that's where he fell off.
Yeah. So I was thinking, do you think that Arias is the modern day Tony Gywnn?
I feel like Tony Gywnn hit for like more power a little bit. When I look at Luis Arias' line, I've got it right here. He's hitting year to date. Where'd it go?
It's 401, 451, 495 is his slash line.
Is he slashing slugging 495?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and 401. I mean, that's a great line. I don't know what I'm talking about, but he's only got the one home run. I guess I expected him to be higher. If you're hitting 401, I expected you to be a better fantasy player.
Yeah, he's got 15 doubles. So of his 85 hits, 15 of them are doubles, 1 triple, 1 homer. He did hit the cycle earlier. The only reason I say it is Tony Gwynn's first couple of years in the league, 1 home run, 5 home runs, 6 home runs, 14 home runs, 7, 7, 4, 4, 4, 6, 7. In the back end of his career, in 97, 98, 99, he went 17, 16, 10. But those were really the highest years he's ever had home run-wise. He only hit double-digit home runs 5 times. He's only got 135 in his career. Now, of course, Arias has only been in the league for 5 years now, so he's much younger. He's got a long way to go. He's 26. Gwynn played, 20 seasons? So he's got 16 more seasons to go.
Yeah, the other Gwynn-like statistic is the guy doesn't strike out. Like Tony Gywnn didn't strike out.
Yeah, so Arias' career is a 326, 384, 421. Tony Gywnn was 338, 388, 459 overall. So, but he had better slugging numbers towards the back end of his career when he started to hit for power. Arias, like you said, doesn't strike out. He walks quite a bit too. I think no one's ever going to replace Tony, but I think he is our modern day Tony Gywnn. He's got 19
to put a player to it. Yep, absolutely.
For perspective, he's walked 19 times this year. He's been intentionally walked 5. So that's 24 walks. He's struck out 11 times. So he's got more than double the amount of walks that he does strikeouts.
One of those strikeouts is a broadcaster's fault. He mentioned he hasn't struck out in like 20 at-bats, and boom, struck out.
Tony Gwynn struck out 434 times in his career. He walked with intentional walks just about 1,000. So they're pretty close strikeout to walk ratio. I think he's the modern day Tony Gywnn.
Yeah, you can't. There's no one else you can pin it to, and he won the Silver. So now, when's the last time the Silver Slugger was traded away last year? Arias was.
Yeah, he was the batting champ, and then the Silver Slugger, I think, for second base last year for the Twins. Where he's played first base a little bit this year, but he's predominantly a second baseman, and I think that's where he's played most of the year this year as well. Because that was one thing that they talked about when he got traded was because they had Jazz at second base, right? Jazz Chisholm.
Right.
And they were going to have the logjam in the middle of the field, but he's predominantly played at second base.
Right. He's played actually 55 games, 55 appearances at second. Only two games has he appeared at first base.
Yeah, only 14 innings at first base, and I think he's DH'd a little bit. He's got time at shortstop and at third base in the majors, even left field, but I expect more of the just second base. He's a great player to have. He's just not a power hitter, but that 401 so far.
You can't complain.
Nope, can't complain at all.
That's not short sample, folks. That's full season.
Yeah, insane. And he's he leads the league, obviously. Who's in second? Let me just sort these stats. 332 for Bo Bichette. So it drops 70 points basically to the second highest average in the league.
Yeah, that's
Insane.
yes, absolutely. In today's age of strikeouts and home run reliant guys,
Yeah.
in today's game, Luis Urias could be, in today's game, with that being so homer reliant and power reliant, Luis Urias could hit for 400 and probably be benched.
Yeah, pretty. Like if he wasn't consistent like he has been, you could totally be like, yeah, not getting enough power. Speaking of power, though, a guy who has been tearing it up, especially the last couple of weeks, Marcus Semien's 25-game hit streak. Do you know who last year had the longest hit streak in baseball and what it was? This is kind of an impromptu trivia question.
I feel like it's actually a Cubs player.
Mm-mm.
I feel like, no, it's not Swanson.
No.
Oh,
He plays the same position, though.
shortstop. Longest on base streak.
Hitting.
Hitting streak.
Hitting streak, yes.
He played
It was Trey Turner.
shortstop. It was Trey Turner, really.
He had 26 last year. So Semien's getting close, 25. But the line that Semien's putting up, not just
Incredible.
getting hits, 304, 372, 504. His 3.2 F4 is tied for the best in baseball. 9 home runs. He scored 55 runs so far this year, 50 driven in. Boy, are the Rangers getting the money out of that contract.
Oh my goodness, the Rangers. Marcus Semien is going off. He is, fantasy wise, a top asset, and if that translates well, just overall, the Texas Rangers are just destroying the baseball right now.
Yeah. So they're getting very good production, but they've signed him and Corey Seager in the same offseason. They gave Semien 7 years, $175 million. So he's making an annual average around $25 million. He's putting up more than that. His WAR right now would already equate to $25 million, I believe.
Who did you see Semien being the better? I mean, I guess Seager's been hurt, so it's hard to say that. But right now, Semien's the better player.
He's totally the better player. And before he signed with the Rangers, he had an MVP type of year in Toronto. He had like 45 home runs. I think he batted like 265, but had an OPS near 900. He had a hell of a year. Yeah, 6.2 WAR. And in 2019 in Oakland, he had a 6.6 WAR. The 2020 season, he kind of threw out because of the COVID stuff, where he still hit 7 home runs. He just had a rough batting average that year. But yeah, I mean, out of the two, I would have if he was healthy, I would have expected Seager to be a little bit better, but his health has not been there his entire career. He's missed
That's
years
his MO.
in time.
Yep.
Yeah. So
And
good
maybe
for Marcus
I
Semien.
think Semien was, I thought, maybe a little bit of an overpay. He did that all in 1 year. But hey, he's an Oakland product. He was drafted by Oakland, traded to Toronto. No?
He was drafted by the Chicago White Sox. Do you know who he was traded to Oakland for? Jeff Samardzija.
Really?
Yeah. He played 2 years with the White Sox. His rookie year was 2013. Yeah, he was a shortstop for the White Sox.
I was just about to give props to the Oakland scouting because they seem like they scout, they draft, they develop, and trade.
Yep. Well, they traded him, 2011, 6th round, 20th pick overall, so 201 overall to the White Sox. He was traded for Jeff Samardzija, I think, along with Chris Bassett to the Oakland Athletics in that Samardzija trade, which looks pretty bad for the White Sox right now.
Yes.
He spent 7 seasons in Oakland, had pretty good numbers, 15 home runs, 27, 10, 15, 33. Then he went to Toronto, hits 45.
Juiced ball era.
He's got 195 career home runs. So he's an MVP candidate this year right now.
Oh,
Him and
absolutely.
Wander lead the league in WAR at 3.2. Acuna at
Wander
2.9.
does.
Yeah. Do you know who's ninth on the list? At least at Fangraphs WAR?
Dansby Swanson.
Yes. You have it open right now.
No, I don't have it up.
Oh.
I don't have it up. I think I just know that Dansby's up there.
Yeah, that surprised me. And then Corbin Carroll at 10th. And we'll talk about the Diamondbacks here in a little bit. Even Jonah Heim in 11th. So that Texas Rangers lineup, man, between Heim, Jung, Adelise, when Seager's been healthy, he's been producing. But bad news for the Texas Rangers. Jacob
Bad
deGrom.
news. Oh, I mean,
Mr. Glass, man. What did you send me yesterday?
I was gonna make a reel about him from the Little Giants, the bubble wrap kid. Yep,
Don't be talking about my mama. That kid?
Yes. He got hit the first day or something, or signed up for football, and then showed up and absolutely like he looked like a moving package bubble wrap roll.
Yeah, he's like waddling, wasn't he? Like as he walked to the field. Yeah. Poor guy, though. I mean,
he was emotional about it in the press conference.
Yeah, I think we posted that on our Instagram story. It's very emotional. It's his second Tommy John.
I didn't realize that it was his second Tommy John.
Yeah, because I think he got drafted and needed it when the Mets drafted him, and that's why he was late to the Mets coming up, because he spent a year and a half out. So he's likely out through the middle of next year. If not, when did Bueller have his surgery last year?
He's coming back this September, so I want to say it was June or July of last year.
Yeah, so it's usually about 12 to 14 months. DeGrom's also older, though. 34. He's about to be 35. You don't heal quite as fast. You don't bounce back as fast. I mean, when he was healthy this year, he had a 1.57 FIP and a 2.67 ERA, which isn't bad either. And he pitched 6 games. He has a 1.4 WAR. That's how great he is.
In 6 games.
In 6 games. Yeah. He just hasn't been healthy, and he hasn't been healthy. He hasn't pitched more than 100 innings since 2019. In 92, in 2021, that was the year that he was incredible. Or 2021, excuse me. 91 innings, and he had a ERA of 1.08, and he had a 4.9 WAR.
What
huge
kind
blow.
Of season would he put up if he would have pitched 200 innings?
It probably would look a lot like what he did in 2018. A 1.70 ERA, 217 innings. That was his Cy Young year. 10-9 though. That just tells you how bad the Mets offense was. He had a
Imagine if the
WAR.
Cubs would have traded Baez for him in 2015.
Probably still win the World Series.
In 16, we probably still win the World Series, and we might be. We don't trade for Quintana in 16. In 17.
Could have done it in 17. In 17, 18, 19 were his 3 best seasons. By far.
Oh, man.
Yeah. 17 was actually his worst.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda right there, right? Huh?
Yeah.
Now, did you see the Barstool Baseball theory of what before? This was before they posted this before it was announced about DeGrom, because DeGrom was throwing bullpen sessions. I'm guessing that he was trying to determine if he could heal instead of having surgery. But there was the theory that his first child was just born, I think in the spring, and that he was on paternity leave, and they didn't want to show that DeGrom's taking his full 12 weeks allowed.
Huh.
And the day after that theory was posted, it was announced TJ. So it was like, oh, okay, just kidding.
Ouch. Yikes. Oh, well, that's a bummer. Either way.
You wish it was paternity leave instead.
Yeah. Now, I've seen a couple people say, do you think he's better off going the John Smoltz route when he comes back? Just be a closer.
I think so.
I mean, can you imagine that? After 1 inning, just come out and you're done.
He's throwing 100. He might throw faster then. He's already throwing 100, 101. He might be a Chapman kind of guy, 103.
Yeah, and he's got command, and that's what's incredible. Like, Chapman was just checking it at 105.
He could even be like a 6-out, an 8th and 9th. The first 8th and 9th inning
closer. Yeah. But I don't know if you could bounce back on back-to-back days with that, though. It'd be difficult.
That's true. That's true.
It'd be difficult, but... Yeah, that's one route. He's got that $185 million deal, 5 years. So he's still got 4 seasons left to go. Will he make it? That's the big question.
So they'll get 3 seasons out of him.
Yeah. For $185 million. And this year they could potentially make the playoffs and go on a deep run, and they're not going to have their ace. It's just a huge depth hit because not only him, but Kumar Rocker just had Tommy John, didn't he? Yep. And he was like their depth piece who would be up late next year too. So like he's delayed. You got Leiter still on the minors though. They've got depth. It's just not. You get rid of the best pitcher in baseball.
You lost 50% of it. They had 4 studs. Whole win is their other one.
Yep. And I mean, if you're a Rangers fan, you got to be saying thank God for Nathan Eovaldi.
Yes, absolutely.
And John Gray.
Nasty
John
hate.
Gray's been great. But boy, rough luck there. This is not really rough luck, but an MLB pitcher just got demoted to rookie ball.
Yeah, I've been feeling that one all year.
May I remind everybody, I want to rewind or flashback just to week 19 or our episode 19, I believe is what it was.
There's belt. I think Manoah takes another step. He finished third or fourth in Cy Young last year, and I think this year he takes the crown.
Michael's Cy Young pick was Alek Manoah, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, no. I did this to him.
Yes.
My own guy.
You did. You picked your entire fantasy lineup, I think, for all the awards.
I almost did. I don't have Austin Riley.
No.
But, yeah, Manoah he was third in Cy Young last year. Absolute stud. Mm-hmm. The year prior was his rookie year. He won 8th out of all rookies. I mean, it just made sense. Take the next step up and be the stud of the league. Yeah. And, I mean, he's the stud. He's just the stud of the Florida Complex League.
Mm-hmm. FCL. I think a lot of that is not because it's the level. I think that's where they have all of their data analysis products and all their like systems in Florida, because that's where their spring training facility is. So I think that's more of a, hey, you need to go figure something out and come back up here at a later
that's
date.
like if you're going to be converted if you're in AA, they did it with a Cubs reliever, a Cubs starter. They converted him to a reliever by sending him back to the development complex, and then he came back to the same level.
Because that's where they send all their rookie level players to go get all the data on that. I think he'll bounce back. I do think the pitch clock really effed with him, or at least
had to something
mentally. And I think a lot of it has probably got mental over the last couple of weeks, right?
And all the comments about his weight.
Yeah. So rough. 13 games pitched, 1-7. He's got a 6.36 ERA.
More hits than innings pitched.
Yeah, it's the peripherals too that are rough. His walk rate is up 6.52 per 9, so he's like not throwing strikes. He's giving up home runs at an astronomical rate. His FIP is a 6.53, which is worse than his ERA. So he's gotten lucky theoretically regarding the results of his 6.36 ERA. Ouch. Yeah, tough luck for him.
A great thing to look at of looking at those rates is Baseball Savant, and they show hard hit rate, slugging percentage against him. His barrel rate is down to 33%. Not good. Hard hit percentage is 27%. Everything, if you look at this page, is in blue.
Yeah. Where's his velocity rates comparatively to last year? Do you know? Is that easy to find?
I don't know.
That would be one thing that I would look up. And I remember last week I was talking with Matt from the College Kids. They've been fading him, or for those of you who don't gamble, betting against him because of the statistics and what they've been noticing.
I bet they've been making money.
They have. I won money last week on the Brewers against him. But moving forward, he's going to be a fixture. And if the Blue Jays are going to be successful going forward, they're going to need him to be who he is and not this guy. And that's partially why they haven't had as much success to start the year. Because theoretically, if you turn 7 of those losses, say he's 1-7, you give him 3 more wins. Right, and that team's right up there at the top middle of that division.
They're in second place.
Yeah.
They're in second place.
So all it takes is a couple games here or there. Man, that's rough. Oof.
Rough.
Yes. So not so rough. It's prospect season, buddy. We're now to the point where teams are calling up their best players, their best prospects. I was extremely happy to be invited last night to go see Elly's first game. For those of you listening in who don't know who I'm talking about, Elly De La Cruz, who...
Monster.
I'm telling you, man. I've been impressed by 1 or 2 players just by looking at them in a personal setting. Luis Robert was one of them. The other one is Elly De La Cruz. Elly makes everybody on that field look like a child.
Like a child.
Did I send you the picture of him standing next to Matt McClain?
You sent me the picture of them at the national anthem.
Yeah.
Over like four guys.
Matt McClain is theoretically 5'11". Elly's 6'5", and he makes Matt McClain look like one of those kids who goes to a ballpark and like gets to go on the field before the game and get an autograph next to his player,
Run the
like at that
bases.
position. Yeah. He literally looked like he was a child next to Elly. But Elly De La Cruz, he's the 4th overall MLB prospect. Some have rated him as the top 2. Some had him as the best prospect, depending on service time and all of that. But what an impressive talent, man. And I get to see him.
You got to saw him live.
Yeah, I get to see him in person, see his MLB debut. The guys at work who cover him for sports have talked about him since spring training because they saw him in spring training. And I've already heard the lore. Go ahead.
Yeah, typically in fantasy baseball, prospects are owned by a percent amount of teams, like 20, 30, 40. 40% if you're really good. This guy, before he was even called up, was 80% owned. Everyone knew the hype train was coming and wanted a piece of it.
So think of O'Neal Cruz, just better, I think.
That's when the hairstyle, I think, helps that.
Yeah.
He plays shortstop as well. You sent that video of and posted that video of his double. Not only was the exit velocity impressive, that dude was moving.
Dude, he is so fast. It's so hard to describe how impressive of an athlete this guy is. His double yesterday, which is first career hit, and you can find that on our YouTube page, 112 miles per hour off the bat. That's the hardest hit ball by a Reds player all year.
Reds player?
By a Reds player the whole year. That's the hardest hit ball by a Reds player. He got to from home to second base, I think with a top speed of like 30.4 miles per hour or something.
30?
Yeah, dude.
30.
Maybe I'm reading the metrics wrong and messing up the metrics, but...
I mean, 25 is humanly possible, so 30, I mean...
Dude, I swear he took 3 steps and he was standing on second base. And he tried for a triple.
Calipers,
he was thinking...
Yeah, his brake calipers were red hot when he threw on those brakes
yeah.
when he was after second base.
And he's got a cannon. He's playing third base right now because the Reds actually have a log. I will give you this. The Reds lineup is sneaky good. Sneaky good. You get Joey Votto back.
They're log jammed.
If you get Joey Votto back, you've got a offense that can compete with anybody. Your question for the Reds is the pitching. And they're in third place right now, only like 4 games back in the division. It's a terrible division, but the atmosphere at Great American Ballpark last night was electric, and they shut down, like, I don't know if you heard this, but Reds.com, the website crashed because the amount of people trying to buy tickets to the game yesterday.
Oh, wow. So
I do have a conspiracy theory about this. Yes. This weekend they're on the road. But I'm going to try to go see them again tonight. For those of you listening, this is Wednesday, June 7th that we're recording. I think this will drop on the 8th. Depending on how fast I can edit and turn this. I'm going to try to do this as most unedited as possible. But it was electric. What I will say is I do want to throw some shade at ownership. So I don't think Elly needed to prove anything from the last 2 weeks. In the month of May, the dude struck out 25 times. He had 20 walks. Yeah, hard to. When you're a power hitter, you'll take that any day of the week. He should have been up. He should have been up a week ago. Here are his minor league numbers this year: 297, 398, 633. Yep. So his OPS is 1,031 in what was it? 50 games in the minors. 38.
That's for the whole year.
For the whole year, 12 home runs, 38 runs, 11 stolen bases, a walk percentage of 14% in the minors. He struck out 27%, but I'll take 14 and 27 any day of the week if you're putting up those numbers. I don't think he needed to prove anything. So here's my thing. Ownership. Castellini's. Last year, they were the guys who were like, oh, go find somebody else. We'll move the team if you're going to be unhappy, right? And that's been a lot of Cincinnati Reds fans like ire. I've had a lot of people say I haven't gone to a game since he made that comment just because he's a jackass.
Right.
But, so
Explicit.
Yep, explicit. And there's the beep. That's the beep that we should do. But so here's my conspiracy theory. So Friday is when he should have been called up. That was their first home game back. But
Right.
Friday night, they had a Zach Brown Band ALS benefit concert after the game. They broke attendance records at Great American Ballpark. They had like 44,000.
Wow.
So we're not going to waste it on that. Saturday was Joey Votto bobblehead day. We're already going to have a high-ticket attendance rate there. Sunday is already a Sunday day game in the middle of summer, basically. Kids are out of school. It's going to be a higher attendance. So I even tweeted this out on our Twitter page. Go check it out. Tommy retweeted it, called it. I said he's going to be called up most likely Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I thought Monday was going to be the day, but the only reason they didn't call him up Monday, they needed a starter. And they made a prospect. They called up their sixth best prospect that you put a reel out for, Abbott, the left-handed pitcher. So why waste two prospect debuts? So let's call him up on Tuesday. And what did they do? They called him up yesterday, made his major league debut. He's not going back down. He's here. And what's crazier is they're going to do the same damn thing with Encarnacio Strand in a week and a half. I guarantee it.
In a week and a half. Yeah, he needs to be up as well. And
Yeah.
that just adds even more to that Reds logjam. But it's the same thing ownership did through a different way. Jordan Walker, the number one overall prospect in baseball. He made the opening day roster for the Cardinals. Everyone, "Ooh, all right, good job, Cardinals," showing that you guys are making the difference in bringing up your prospects that deserve to make it opening day. And for some reason, a couple weeks later, he got sent down. He was not doing terrible. He did not deserve to be sent down. So he spent about a month in the minors. The day that the Cardinals now get an extra year of control, he's called up. He spent over just a month in the minors and won't get the required 172 days on the MLB roster. Yep.
It's not like he was tearing it up at AAA either, though. That's a crazy thing. He was only hitting 239 with 4 home runs and 27 hits. So, I mean, he's been struggling.
They acted like, so did you hear why they sent him down was they wanted him to lift the ball more, is what they said. So they were trying to change the guy's swing who was hitting 280 in the majors.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Cardinals.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not complaining.
I'm okay with it.
I am not complaining. Boy. Yeah. Well, I do want to go back to the Reds a little bit, not to make this a Reds love fest, but so Christian Encarnacio Strand, so this lineup, they're playing Spencer Steer, who's also a rookie, who's having an incredible start to his career in left field. So they're going to have Votto. They have Jonathan India, who's an all-star, basically. Shortstop Matt McClain, who's a rookie, who had the walk-off hit. Last night's game was incredible. You're starting De La Cruz at third base. They've got this guy, Christian Encarnacion Strand, who in the minors, these are his numbers this year. 352, 408, 716. He's slugging 716. His OPS is over 1,100. It's 1.124. He's striking out 23% of the time. He's walking 8% of the time. He's got 15 home runs, 39 RBIs in 38 games. So he needs to be up too. But they're not going to call him up.
His last 10 games, he's hitting 368, 510 on base, and 789 slugging percentage his last 10 games.
So what else do you have to prove?
Right.
Nothing. But the Reds, here, I'm pulling up their schedule right now. The Reds come back home, and they will be playing at home against the Rockies on June 19th. I am saying it here on our podcast.
I'm writing it down.
June 19th will be the day that Christian Encarnacion Strand makes his major league debut. If they were smart, they'd do it on this Friday versus the Cardinals because you do it on the road. That's what I thought you should do for a prospect like Elly. take the pressure off them, get them used to the everyday grind of the major leagues, and then have them come home. But because the greediness of ownership, they're not going to call them up until they've got a chance to make money off of it.
And if you look at what they've been doing, they're fighting for the division lead right now. So if you care about the game, they have the best record in the NL Central for the month of May.
Mm-hmm. They were over 500.
By a game, but no, only the Cardinals they were tied with the Cardinals for the record. But yeah, no, that's how bad the NL Central is. Mm-hmm. So the Reds it's theirs for the taking. So get your best players in the lineup.
Yeah. You've got a chance to be a surprise team in the playoffs. And you need to have them up. I mean,
Pitching's going to figure it out.
Yeah, well, that's their biggest weakness right now, I think, is pitching. Is you've got Lodolo on the IL. You've got Hunter Green, who just got his first win of the season on, like, game number 11. Yeah. And Graham Ashcraft. You got a three-headed monster there, and you just called up Abbott.
Who just came out, yep.
And Luke Weaver pitched last night, who got shelled. But you've got the making. Their bullpen needs a little bit of work, I think. But that Reds team, I've seen them in person a lot because I've gone to the games. They're close. And if the Cubs and the Cardinals don't take it seriously, they're going to be in trouble the next couple of years because that Reds team is coming. That Reds team is got a chance in the next couple of years to make waves.
That's exciting. That's got to be exciting for you, who just moved there recently, to have a good team to go watch.
Well, that was the crazy thing. Like, so I've never lived in a city where literally my neighbor called me yesterday at 5:45. The game was at 7:05. He called me. He goes, "Hey," I was like, "What's up?" He's like, "You want to go see the number one prospect in baseball go make his major league debut?" I was like, "Yes." We were like the 25th row behind the dugout. They were great seats. Go check out the videos on YouTube. We put them on. I think I put them on every social media page because I was just so excited.
It was great. It was great content.
Man,
Elly skate around the bases, and
what I will say is Elly's first at bat. So you've got runners on first and third. You're down 3-0 at that point, I believe. It was 3-1 at that point. You're down 3-1. Your major league debut, you're batting fourth in the lineup. And I think this was only the fifth time since 1900 that a rookie that young was making his major league debut batting cleanup. Like the fifth time ever. And it was the first time in Reds history. He takes a walk. He was down 0-2 in the count. He worked a walk as a rookie. Like, what kind of professional at bat is that? Like, where
they have the calm, cool, collected in your debut,
right? And he took a couple of tough pitches. Oh, a couple of them were not competitive pitches, but like to work yourself back from 0-2, where he hacked and he's got a mean swing. If he makes contact, that ball's gone. It's like 112 mile per hour. That was a frozen rope off the wall, and I think Hayward was in center field last night. He got the ball back quick. And Elly was debating going for third. Right. That's how fast he is.
In your video, you can see the ball is floating. Looks like it's still rising as it's going across the outfield.
Yeah, it was a solid rope, and I'd call it a laser beam. It was an absolute missile. So it's going to be fun. I'm going to try to catch him tonight. So go. If you haven't looked up Elly highlights, that's my call for those of you listening. I'm a Cubs fan, and I'm gushing over a Reds player. That just tells you how awesome of a guy this is going to be. He's got perennial all-star and MVP candidate written all over him if he can stay healthy.
He's going to be exciting to watch. Good baseball that you want to put on your TV. If you need something to put on, that's what you want. Is Elly De La Cruz.
So, Elly, part of the Reds, who are jumping up my power rankings standings, but they're not in the top 10. Let's go right into our top 10 power rankings. Michael Burns, I'm pretty sure we're probably similar like we've been the last couple of weeks regarding power rankings. Looking at my list, I do have a couple of flip-flops and some changes from last week. We didn't have a podcast last week, but we did put it on social media. Who are we still holding the Rays in first place? I debated going Texas first, but I still kept Tampa in my first place.
I did just do the same thing of debating Texas because they put 30 runs up in 3 games against the Seattle Mariners. 30 runs.
Yep, and that's a pretty good pitching staff. Not pretty
right.
good. That's very good pitching staff.
Very good. But the Rays still have enough of a lead record-wise that they stayed number one.
Yeah, I think it's the above 500 record for the Rays that's kind of why I kept them in first. There's something like 25-16 or something against players against teams with a
25-13.
Yeah, 25-13 against teams that are 500 or better. That's a 600 winning percentage against the best teams in baseball, not just like the crummy teams. Remember earlier when we were making these rankings, we're like, well, they haven't really played anybody. Now they've played 38 games against teams, and they've proven it. 132 run differential. Texas, the only reason I was so close, they don't have the best record, but plus 155 run differential, the most runs in baseball. They're number 2, but I was close. I was this close to being the oddball and going and flip-flopping them.
But a 4-game lead is hard to beat.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Who's your third place team? Last week I had Baltimore. This week I have a different team.
I got Atlanta jumping back up.
So do
Atlanta's been playing some good baseball. They played Arizona, who is now first in the NL West. They took two out of 3 from them. They put it on the Mets last night after coming back from being down. So I've got Atlanta jumping back up.
I do too. I think we have the same top 5, man. In the same order.
We do have the same top 5. Yes.
So let's just list them off. I got Atlanta 3rd, Houston 4th, and who's in 5th?
Baltimore. Baltimore fell a little bit.
Yeah, Baltimore, my reasoning is they were 4-6 in the last 10 games. Their plus 29 run differential is not as good as the teams I have ahead of them. Houston's a plus 61 run differential. That's the 4th best in baseball. The Braves is the best in the NL, 3rd best in baseball. The Braves beat a very solid Arizona team. Houston continues to rack up wins. They're playing better. They're the reigning World Series champions. That's where they're in 4th. Baltimore still has the second best, or is it the second or third best record in baseball. It's just they haven't looked as impressive as of late.
Right. I think they are the team that could fall off pretty quickly with a young team that they have.
Yeah.
They don't have overpowering pitching. They've got a young team. Still waiting for Gunnar Henderson to come around.
When he does, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think the Orioles are the most in danger as we get deeper into the season. The season is long. To start falling off.
Yep. My 6th team takes a 2-spot jump. I have Arizona Diamondbacks in 6th. They are the leader in the AL or the NL West. They're 17-15 versus teams above 500. Now, the one pumping my brakes, even though they've gone 7-3 in their last 10 games, they only have a plus 24 run differential, which isn't as impressive as some of the other teams in the NL. But still, they're playing good baseball. They lead the NL West. They need to get their flowers.
So I flip-flop I have them as 7th. And for the reason that they went 1-2 against Atlanta. If they could have took one more from Atlanta, I would have pushed them up to 6 past my 6th team. Oh, I'm sorry, 7th team, who is the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees took 2 from LA. Who LA has been up there in the top 5 or 6 for I think both our power rankings. And so the fact that the Yankees took 2 of 3 from them and Arizona only went 1 of 3 against Atlanta, I pushed New York 1 above Arizona.
I'm giving the Yankees a little bit of a hit because they lost to the White Sox last night, who are actually playing very, very, very good baseball as of late. Hey, we got Bailey, who's making is this her podcast debut? Maybe I don't know.
I think
is Bailey.
So.
Bailey on YouTube. Go check her out. Bailey the pup. She's been in one of those cones for the last couple of days because it's been a rough couple of weeks here in the whole Spinner household. She had a foot issue, but yes, I went with Yankees 7 just because their run differential plus 41. So it's better than Arizona, but they're 500 or just about versus teams that are 500 better. Arizona has a little bit better of a winning percentage versus the higher winning percentage teams. It's kind of, I think they could be flip flopped a little bit. Arizona 7-3 in their last 10.
Close.
Yankees 6-4 in their last 10. So I kind of went with that on.
How much do you love seeing the Dodgers not in first place in that division?
It's fun. It's
It
pretty
is
cool.
fun. I love
And it
it.
was fun to watch them lose yesterday in pretty amazing fashion in the ninth inning, where Caleb Ferguson just couldn't find home plate. And that's the reason the Reds came back. My eighth team is the Dodgers. They've lost 3 in a row, but they still have the most runs in the National League. Their winning percentage versus 500 teams is not that great, 14-15. But still, they're a juggernaut, and they've got the most runs in the NL, so that tells you something.
So my next team, I have the Dodgers 10th for the reason of they've lost 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
They're on a losing streak. My team at what, 8th is this?
Mm-hmm.
Is the Miami Marlins, who have won 8 of their last 10 and are on a 5-game winning streak.
I will stop you there. They're my 10th team, so they're in my top 10.
Their 5-game winning streak is against who?
Oakland and Kansas City.
Yes.
So I know we said earlier this year you got to play the teams that are on your schedule, but when you've got 5 games against literally the 2 worst teams in baseball, you better be 4-1 or 5-0.
Yes, and they did such.
The only reason I have the Dodgers ahead of them is because the Marlins' run differential is still minus 29, which is terrible.
Horrible.
Terrible. And they've only scored 248 runs, which I think is the second lowest amount in the National League. So their offense is terrible. Their pitching staff is great. Their pitching staff is very good, but their offense, I have them in 10th because they deserve to be up there. They jumped 7 spots in my rankings. They're up to 10th from 17 last week, but
Yeah.
it's against the A's and the Royals and not being able to score runs. I just can't have you at 8th. I have you in the top 10 though. And I think we both have the same number 9 team.
Right, and that is the Toronto Blue Jays, who swept the Mets last week and are currently 1-1 in their series against Houston. So they took 1 against Houston.
Yeah, 34-28 coming into play today. So again, we're putting the caveat. This is for June 7th as of 2:30 in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time.
Cheers.
Yeah. So that's our top 10. Toronto, 34-28, and you're in 4th place in the division, 9.5 games back. That would be leading the AL Central by 2.5 games. That would be, it's still pretty far back in the AL West.
Blue Jays are 5-1 in their 6 games in June.
Yep, and they're 22-22 versus teams at or above 500, which is, that entire AL East, man. The Boston Red Sox are 31-30 in dead last by 12 games, and they still would be tied for AL Central first place with the Minnesota Twins.
Right, and so they're gonna they would miss the wild card, even though they have a better record than all of the AL Central. Yep.
Insane.
So hint, you could see as soon as baseball expands, they change to 2 leagues, I bet.
I remember you saying that a couple of weeks ago, saying we may be seeing it. Then that's what it was back in the day, right? The top team in each league was the one who made the playoffs and then ended up going to the World Series. But that's our power rankings. Real quick, we don't have to dive too much into it. What team that's not in first right now in their division do you think wins their division?
Man, I saw this in the notes, and I think Tampa's going to win their division. I think Texas is going to finally dethrone Houston. I think they will. I think it's going to be a battle, but I think Texas will dethrone them. Atlanta's going to win their division. Milwaukee, if the Reds continue like they could win it, but this could be one that I could argue that the Reds aren't in first and they will win their division. But the strongest one that they're not in first, I think Cleveland will win the division over Minnesota.
He could. Their offense has been trash. They need to come around. Minnesota's pitching is going to be the thing that keeps them in it. I think that's a good one. The Dodgers, I think, probably end up. My guarantee was probably the Houston Astros. I don't know how long Texas can keep this up. But with a plus 155 run differential, I don't know, man. You just continue to pummel and beat down teams, and you don't have to worry about pitching, especially with DeGrom out. Man, that's insane. 386 runs.
I still need my bold prediction of the Dodgers missing the playoffs.
That's what you're rooting for.
Yes.
But you thought the Padres were going to be the one to unseat them.
I
Boy,
did
have they
think
been disappointing.
Yes, worst batting average in the majors. Worse than Oakland.
Yes, and they're still a +9 run differential, but they've only scored 248 runs, which is tied for the Marlins for the second least in the NL. The only team in the NL that is the worst. They both have the worst.
Milwaukee's only scored 245.
Oh, 245. Yep, there it is.
And they're in first place.
Yep. Yeah, and they're in first place with a -20 run differential.
What is going on?
Yeah, insane. But that has been it for episode 28 of Barrels and Barrels, a Bourbon and Baseball podcast. Thank you for joining in. If you're looking for more of us on social media, go check us out. YouTube, you're watching us here. Go follow us, subscribe to us. At Barrels and Barrels Pod, we're putting out more and more exclusive content that you can only see there. Pretty good stuff too, I think. So go check out those videos. Instagram at Barrels and Barrels Pod. That's where you can also find us on Facebook at Barrels and Barrels Pod. Twitter at Barrels and Barrels. And you can email us barrelsandbarrels@gmail.com. We just got more stickers. We've got t-shirts that we're selling as well. So if you want t-shirts, there you go. Michael's got his right there. I've got a couple
t-shirts.
Extras.
If you really want a hat, we'll put you on a list for hats. We'll eventually put an order in for hats, maybe.
Hats, stickers, maybe some glassware down the pike. I don't know. Something along those lines. If we get enough interest, we will do some glassware for y'all out there as well. Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Amazon, Google, and iHeartRadio podcast. That's where you can find us. Please rate us, review us. Michael, where can we find you on social media?
You go everywhere and just search for BNB_Burns. My face will pop up.
Even on Facebook?
Click that follow button. No, Facebook. Facebook on Michael Burns. Yeah, it'll be tough to find me.
Yeah, it'd be tough to find him. BNB_Burns on Instagram and Twitter. I am at whiskey_weather on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter, WXSpinner89. That has been it for episode 28, the Burt by... That has been it for episode 28.
Wish you wouldn't hit me, Bert.
Rubber ducky, you're the one. So the Burt Blyleven episode number 28.
Yeah,
thank you for listening. As always, we'd love to hear what you think about this episode, and go give Journeyman Distillery, Corsets, Whips, and whiskey a try.
Tasty.
Good stuff.
Tasty.
Full wheat, 100% wheat.
Wheat.
Michael Burns.
How did it take that long to say that?
Yeah. It's an hour and 17 minutes into the podcast, and it took us that long to go, wheat. Man, that's a demerit for both of us. Both of us. That's $1 to Kangaroo Court, so that takes me up to $5. Michael Burns, you owe $1 to our whiskey fund.
All right.
Well, stay tuned. We'll have more bourbon whiskey reviews, maybe just solo shows there. Bourbon 101. At some point, we're going to do that. And then we've got interviews down the pike. They're on their way. We're going to have some more chats with some cool distilleries and some cool people in the whiskey and baseball world. So keep looking for that. Thanks again for tuning in. This has been episode 28 of Barrels and Barrels of Bourbon and Baseball podcasts, where our high heat and high proof. Is it high proof or high heat? Do you remember what it is?
High proof and high heat.
That's right. Where our proof is high, but our heat is higher. No, I'm just adding to it now.
Let's roll with it, baby.
Yeah, let's roll with it. Michael Burns, do you have anything for our friends, family, viewers, listeners, friends, anybody just tuning in, passerbys?
Bourbon and baseball, let's go.